All right, let's begin here. Lawyers for Kelly Smith, Jacquen Appollis and Steveno van Rhyn, the convicted kidnappers and traffickers of a 6-year-old Joshlin Smith, have asked the court to refrain from sending them to jail for life. Closing arguments concluded in the Western Cape High Court sitting in Saldanha on the West Coast, following the reading of victim impact reports compiled by a court preparation officer.
Well, my lord, without sounding harsh, that maybe he and his sister are better off where they are now.
I raise it also, Allah M.
Yes, of course. My lord, because this is not the only indication. We must also remember the evidence of Paulina, Josa, which also goes to that way. We must also remember the evidence of Laurentia Lombard, who clearly indicated that that was a very volatile.
And then we have Mr. Peterson's evidence from what he was told, how the children were physically treated.
Indeed.
I don't want to call it abuse, I don't want to call it assault, rather say how they were physically treated.
And the complaints that were known to the DSD, confirmed by Ms. Mbombo, who also testified about it. So I think the indications, my lord, to answer my lord's question is, my submission is a little too late. When we say, I am famous and that's the most important thing because of my child, that is not what we would want, and a place where we would want young children to be. Under the circumstances, my lord, I submit that there are no substantial and compelling circumstances, and that indeed life imprisonment is the appropriate sentence for all three the accused, and that there shouldn't be any differentiation between them, despite the fact that accused number 2 has so much more previous convictions. I think life imprisonment is the appropriate sentence. And may I at this stage also, my lord, just add in a request from the state side in terms of section 120 of the Children's Act. It was referred to in the indictment. Given the finding that this court has made and the fact that we are dealing with a child victim, the state requests that the court also makes, and it's a discretionary thing, the state requests that the court makes a finding that all three the accused's names should be entered in the Child Protection Register as people not fit.
Well, let's now bring in SABC News reporter Vanessa Poonah, who's following the proceedings for us in Saldanha Bay. Very good afternoon to you, Vanessa. Of course, we saw in the beginning emotional scenes, at least from Joshlin's mother, Kelly Smith, during those victim impact reports. Just give us then the highlights of today's proceedings.
Yes, indeed. Good afternoon to you, Nati. And let me just say that today, when those victim impact reports were being read into the court record, one could, even though we haven't seen Joshlin Smith for the past year and 3 months, but one could definitely sense her presence, at least through the words of those people who had given those impact reports. For example, we've heard from a community member who was part of the search for Joshlin. She was saying that she at the time had lost her daughter and was still in the grieving process. But even though she was emotionally and physically tired and drained, she could not stop searching for Joshlin, because she felt, even though she wasn't Joshlin's mother, that she felt that she was a part of her. What we also heard was a victim impact report by Kelly Smith's mother, Amanda Smith Daniels, and what she was saying. And I just want to go to the notes that I've made on that, starting off her report by saying, Kelly, you have come to make our lives hell on earth. She went on to say how this incident has broken the family. She talks about the fears that she now has for her grandchildren, Joshlin's two siblings, saying that she feels as though she wants to be with them at school all day because she is fearful of her grandchildren. She mentioned that Kelly does not want to take responsibility for her actions, saying, and now she wants to play the victim. Of course, we did see Kelly Smith breaking down in tears today. Her mother saying that at the last or previous appearance, she told her that she would speak before sentencing procedures, but this has not happened. The fact that none of the accused in this matter or convicted kidnappers and human traffickers testified in their own defense, brought witnesses to testify against them, is something which the court must consider. Just this morning, Judge Nathan Erasmus, when Advocate Fani Harimsa was presenting his closing arguments, he represents Jacquen Appollis. The judge was essentially saying, but why did he not come and testify? And I think that that is something that the court will indeed look at before sentencing kicks off at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Let me just also say that we heard a victim impact report from Natasha Andrews. She was the woman, a friend of Kelly's, who was very close to Joshlin. Joshlin spent much time with her and her family. She was saying that she cannot even begin to explain a broken family with broken hearts, feelings of longing for Joshlin, saying that, they miss her laughter, her chats, her being around them. She was talking about the fact that a milestone had been missed. Joshlin often came from school saying that one of her friends or a girl in class would have lost her milk teeth, so to speak. Saying that, that is something, a milestone that they would not have experienced with Joshlin. Also talking about the fact that they would not have spent her past birthday with her. And let me quote here for a second from Natasha Andrews. We just want to hug you again. We want to hear your voice and have you with us. You are our flower, our baby daughter, and our green-eyed child. That just, a few of the victim impact statements that we heard. It had most of those in the public gallery, and even if I can say that in the media benches themselves, shedding tears. It was a very emotional morning when we heard, just how Joshlin's disappearance, the fact that she has been gone for over a year and 3 months, has impacted not just the Saldanha community as represented by the community member who was part of the search, not just by Edna Mart, the teacher, who was talking about how Joshlin's classmates would ask when she's returning, the fact that the school still has Joshlin on their system in the hopes that she will return. We've seen, a drawing, a picture by Joshlin's classmates. It was a tree of hope, and on the branches there were little thumbprints with one thumbprint missing. And that, of course, signifies the hope. That's Joshlin's thumbprint that's missing, signifies the hope that she will come back and that her fingerprint will complete that picture. So it was an extremely emotional day in court today. And of course, that transpired before the lawyers then started arguing or closing arguments in this trial. Can I just then say to you very briefly, when we talk about the closing arguments, a lawyer for Kelly Smith, Mr. Rhyn, mentioned to the court that Kelly Smith, at the age of 35 years old, is a first offender, that she has the ability to rehabilitate it and become a positive contributor to society. Of course, we've heard from the probation officer yesterday, Mr. Errol Peterson, was saying that it's not far-stretched to say that Kelly Smith, as the mother of Joshlin, was the mastermind behind her disappearance, something which the state at the onset in its indictment said, young Joshlin Smith was sold for 20,000 rand. We know that earlier this month when Judge Erasmus convicted the three, he said that the evidence is there that she was exchanged for promise or payment or promise of payment. That, of course, speaks to the charge of human trafficking. Ms. Nobashle Mkabai for Steveno van Rhyn said to the court and appealed to the court that it must not take his silence and his denial of guilt in this matter should not be viewed as a lack of remorse. Fani Harmse, Advocate Harmse for Jacquen Appollis, was saying that he was not party to the planning. You would remember that the court had heard that as far back as August 2023, when Kelly Smith was speaking to Mr. Nico Stephen Kutsia, when he met her along the road, she was talking about the fact that she would be sending the children away, that she would accept 5,000 rand if people did not have the full 20,000 rand. She was talking about the fact that the Saldanha area, Middelport and Dyersville area, would look like a movie scene early in the next year. That's, of course, exactly what played out. So Advocate Harms is saying that Jacquen Appollis was not part of this planning, and therefore he merely did what he was told to do. Of course, we know that the advocate, you just heard it there just now, the senior state prosecutor, Saldanha Swanepoel, was saying that the crime that was perpetrated against Joshlin, not just her, as a young 6-year-old child, the wider community and the people that loved her, does indeed warrant life sentences for all three accused, as we've heard her saying. She was saying that the fact that Joshlin has still not been found, her whereabouts are not known, should indeed be seen as an aggravating factor par excellence and not as a mitigating factor, as some in the defense would have argued before court, saying that the hope is always that Joshlin must be found alive. And then, of course, we've heard it there just now in that soundbite, sound clip of Advocate Saldanha Swanepoel then requesting the court to make an order that these three convicted kidnappers and human traffickers' names be entered into the child protection register. They are young people in their 20s and early 30s. I'm saying that if in the event that they should be placed on parole at some time in the future, that they not be allowed to work with children. We also heard there just now Advocate Swanepoel saying that Kelly Smith's two other children, at this point would be better off not living with their mother, citing, of course, their testimony around the treatment of not just Joshlin Smith, but also her siblings. So, of course, this is a case that has gripped not only South Africa, it has gripped the attention of the worldwide media as well as people from all over the country. Hundreds and thousands of people have been tuning in to our online platform throughout the duration of this trial. It's almost 3 months now, if not, just gone over 3 months of this trial and all the proceedings that have taken place. People are invested because, as we've heard from the human trafficking expert yesterday, Dr. Marcel van der Walt, is that between a period of 2018 and 2021, some 781 children in South Africa were victims of child trafficking. So, of course, Joshlin in this matter would represent so many hundreds and thousands of children that have fallen victim to human trafficking.
Absolutely, Vanessa. And I mean, to steal your words, tomorrow, in light of that expected sentencing, will probably also look like some form of a movie scene. But thank you so much for that comprehensive update, Vanessa Poonah, there for us, of course, as the sentencing in this particular trial goes ahead, is expected at least to wrap up tomorrow.